Hello, listeners of the greatest knowledge drip in the world. As we find out who we are and work on our future, we should digest back to the past 2 episodes on the thoughts of auto-suggestion. This part of our life, our thoughts and our words, we accomplish and get what we see. The smallest thing you want to accomplish. One of the biggest fears, one of your hates. I know through intense knowledge the power of autosuggestion. I use this unknown power mostly not for my benefit. I would say things like, I don't have enough money. Or without even trying, or before work, I would affirm that I hated my job. And for me, it would place a negative thought in my subconscious mind. And I would carry it throughout my day. Unhappy, unmotivated, thinking that I was getting underpaid. Need some water. Whew, I like water. My work I did was not the goal. All the money I would make would be gone, and I would still be unhappy. My self-suggestions that I just talked about would always return to full tuition to me. I had limited to no knowledge that what I told myself is how I would get in return. Fortunately for me, I got to experience failure for years and still failing today. Thinking that I would forever be the broke, unsuccessful person. Lucky and glad I was when I clicked on a YouTube page and a guy named Alan Watts started talking, and I listened to it with no idea what he was saying. But I continued to listen and dwell in what he was saying. It took about 6 months of listening and reading and writing to understand what he was saying. And not even understand, but before my subconscious mind took over through suggestion, then onto auto-suggestion. And now, 3 years later, and many other philosophers' knowledge, I am able to begin the process of the age of thinking man. Dear listeners, I am aware of the struggles of life, but no, I am fully aware of my possibilities. I am grateful for the ability to understand truth and justice. Our truth is what we say, and no matter what you say will be the truth to you. And you are the only person the truth needs to be true to. Dear listeners of Wild Thoughts, place in your heart what you want and think about what you want. Then go out and do the actions and continue to think about what you are in want of. What you want, hold it persistently, and it will manifest its possibilities into a way of being for you. Well, guys, welcome to another marvelous episode of Wild Thoughts with your host, The Big Bang. As we jump in to another knowledge drip that's going to be great. That first thing, I just wrote it. Why not yesterday? It was a good time. And now I want to go over some great affirmations, some great news, some great everything. And I just want to say that I know that my thoughts are my beings and my becomings of what is to become of human life. Because I can control what happens to me. I can control sometimes what happens to me just by mere thought, but not just thought, through action, through thought and action and believing in myself, believing in the awareness of my body, believing that anything is possible if you really truly do believe it. And people say that. You hear it on the movies, you hear it on TV shows, in the books, and it's true. It works, man. I know you're hearing it on a knowledge drip, so why not? It can work for you. It's funny. Something happened to me this week. I was out there working at a different job site, and I was really bored out there by myself walking around. You guys probably seen my Snapchats if you've been following on the Snapchatter world. But I was sitting out there, and I'm just walking around, and I'm out there like reading in the laws of success about the auto-suggestion of how you should tell yourself something, and it's going to manifest itself onto whatever being that is possible. So what I did is I said, this week someone's going to write me a big check for like $1,300. And I said that. And I kept saying that to myself over and over again. I said, someone's going to write me a check for $1,300. And there I was, just walking up and down the street where I've been all day. And I walked down the hill saying, someone's going to give me a check for $1,300. And I walk down this hill. I look around. There's nothing. I walk back up the other side of the hill. Remember, this is in Florida, so the hills are like 25 feet. Maybe 100 if you're lucky. And then I walk back down the other side of the hill. And as I'm walking, I see something that was very shiny. So I walk to it. What is it? It's a fucking filing cabinet. The filing cabinet is fucking sitting there with like a bunch of papers in it. And I said, man, someone's going to give me that $1,300 check today, aren't they? And I opened it up. I pulled it open. Pulled open the dresser. It's fucking, burned my fucking hands though, because it was so hot. It was all black and it was sitting in the sun, so it was like fucking real hot. And then I open it up, and what's in there? A whole bunch of checks. Thousands of checks. Somebody had dropped their checks off from a couple years ago. They were all from like 2001 and 1998. It was crazy. I've never seen anything like it. And it didn't dawn on me until later of how funny that was. How I've sat there and I told myself that someone's going to write me a check for $1,300 today. And I walked down, I walked back up, and then I found 1,300 checks. And that's funny. That's a really funny story because that's the self-suggestion. And now I'm trying to figure out how to use that auto self-suggestion for definite chief aim. Because I was saying someone's going to write me a check for $1,300. You know what I'm saying? $1,300. And then maybe that's what it was. Maybe I forgot to say dollars. But I was saying that. And it dawned on me that someone dropped off 1,300 checks. Written checks. And I thought that was so proof, so evident, so truthful of the word of auto-suggestion and believing in yourself. Now, what I got to start working on is I got to start working on my definite chief aim. Because when I said that someone's going to write me a check for $1,300, I was being serious. But was my definite chief aim, or the words I was saying, the prayer, what other words was the affirmations, the prayers that I was saying to myself, was it definite enough in order to be heard by the universe? Because the universe probably just heard me say, someone is going to write me a check for $1,300 this week. Maybe my definite chief aim has to get a little bit more definite. Maybe I have to say like someone's going to write, and then I say my name, Isaiah Roberts, a check for $1,300. But maybe my suggestion, that's one good source that I believe, that's one good source of definition of how to use your auto-suggestion. The other one, which might be a little bit better than just saying Isaiah Roberts is going to get a check for $1,300 by somebody, Maybe I need to be more definite in my life. So maybe that is one thing you gotta be more definite on. So I'm gonna give you another example, and I'm just coming up with this right now. It's not written down or nothing, but this is coming straight from the mouth right now. So maybe next time I need to say, hello, infinite intelligent universe. This is Isaiah Roberts. And today I am expecting to get a check for $1,300 from the state of Mississippi in the mail, thanking me for doing such a great job on this knowledge drip. And then that's it. And then you put it out there to the definite universe, because now it has your name, your things, your other stuff. I would add in there maybe your address, or maybe where you're going to be, or somewhere that you go to frequently without having to go way out of your way. Like, for example, I go to a little store called Wawa's every day. The reason is because that's just where we stop on when we go to work. I don't know why, but that's where they like to stop. So that's where we stop, right there. So maybe you got to be more definite into that area. And you can just keep going down the list of how definite you want this. But don't be too definite. Don't write down the time and the date. I don't know, maybe write the time, maybe write the date. I don't know. You got to try. There's so many different possibilities for this that are untapped and marketed right now. So why don't some of you listeners start trying this shit out and tell me how it works? Because I can do it. I'm going to do it too. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do it too. Why wouldn't I do it? I got notebooks all over the place filled with all different types of definite chief names, stuff I don't share on the knowledge drip. And it's pretty great. Whew. So let's go ahead now, and that we understand that we understand the power of autosuggestion, that we know to be these truths to be self-evident in the name of God. Let's go ahead. While we're at the 12-minute mark, I want to go over something that was pretty good. I want to go over the self-confidence formula, but more importantly, I want to go over the self-confidence creed. Yep, we haven't gone over the self-confidence creed in a while. So I figured, why not? And then after we go over the self-confidence creed, I want to go over a different subject other than autosuggestion. I want to go on to it on concentration and thinking, and how memory is worked. All right, so that's what we're going to do after we do the self-confidence formula. That way, it just helps everybody listening to this knowledge drip as the AC turns on and the airplanes fly overhead. It's not the perfect place to do the perfect podcast, but it's the best place to do the greatest podcast. So it doesn't fucking matter. So we're going to go over the self-confidence creed. We're going to go over the self-confidence formula, and then we're going to jump into memory and how to use memory, which, retention, recall, and recognition, stuff like that. Just to help our brains out a little bit so that we can I need to get some new. I'm going to buy some new chairs. Look at these chairs are old and shit. They're uncomfortable. I'm going to buy some new ones. That way it's easier for me to sit longer and talk more. Yep, that's what I'm going to do. So let's go ahead and do this self-confidence creed. And then we'll go to the self-confidence formula, and then we'll go on to the memory stuff. So here we go with the self-confidence creed. I believe in myself. I believe in those who work with me. I believe in my employer. I believe in my friends. I believe in my family. I believe that God will lend me everything I need with which to succeed, if I do my best to earn it through faithful and honest service. I believe in prayer and I will never close my eyes in sleep without praying for divine guidance, to the end that I will be patient with other people and tolerant with those who do not believe as I do. I believe that success is the result of intelligent effort and does not depend upon luck or sharp practices or double-crossing friends, fellow men, or my employer. I believe I will get out of life exactly what I put into it. Therefore, I will be careful to conduct myself towards others as I would want them to act toward me. I will not slander those whom I do not like. I will not slight my work, no matter what I may see others doing. I will render the best service of which I am capable, because I have pledged myself to succeed in life, and I know that success is always the result of conscientious and efficient effort. Finally, I will forgive those who offend me, because I realize that I shall sometimes offend others, and I will need their forgiveness. Whew, that was pretty good. Let me get some water. Now, I wanted to go over the self-confidence creed with you real quick. In one part of it, it says, I believe that God will lend me everything I need with which to succeed. Now, that part, I am God. What does that mean? You know, there's a big debate out there about what God is or who God is or how it could be God or what could be God's, or you know what I'm saying? But I'm not sure. You know that I think that it's possible to be your own God because you're the one that creates it. You're the one that creates it, and you think it and you say it just like we learned in autosuggestion, and then it comes to fruition. So, for me, it's God is myself. It's the fingers, and you know, it's not just me as my brain. It's also the stuff inside of me. I mean, there's things going on inside of me that I cannot feel, but it just happens constantly. They're creating their own world down there. They're creating their own illusions, and it's great that you don't have to think about some things. So, it's just, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of deep, bro. All right. So just think about that. You know, you can have your own motherfucking opinion, you know. Don't be listening to what I'm saying, because shit. Like Eazy-E said, I ain't say nothing. Don't quote me, boy, because I ain't said shit. I believe that's the quote, to be exact. And you got to just believe that you can do what you want to do. You got to. It's just part of the motherfucking life. Just like as in the beginning of the self-confident creed, it says, I believe in myself. Yep. You know, I'm going to act correctly. I'm going to, what does that say? And intelligent effort. Intelligent effort. Now, where does intelligence come from? Is the question that's probably on everyone's mind, because I have no fucking clue where intelligence could come from. I mean, could it come from my right hand, my left hand, my eyeballs, the whole surrounding, the seeds I ate, all those sunflower seeds I ate, the mangoes, the apples, you know what I'm saying? Does the infinite intelligence come from that? From what I put inside my body to keep the brain running? Does the infinite intelligence come from the earth? Does it come from the food that we eat? And if so, does it matter what type of food you eat? Does it have to be plant grown? I mean, grown in the ground. Does it have to be grown in a lab? Like, what type of food is this? This is a whole intelligent being that I am talking about. There's no way that your body can motherfucking run without all the other shit out there, without the water, without the food, without the mangoes, the air, the light, the motherfucking light. You would have to prove that you could live. And without the infinite intelligence around you, or maybe as some people call it, the Holy Ghost. If you're around some religions, they call it the Holy Ghost. And you can you can go out there and you can feel the infinite intelligence or the Holy Ghost or whatever you want to fucking name it as. I mean, there's probably thousands of names. There's probably like Rom or Dom or Soupy Koo or something stupid like that. You just never know. You probably heard it before, and it's true. It's just all around you. This feeling of life and everything. It's just one God feeding another God, feeding another God, feeding another God, feeding another God. Oh my shit. This shit is getting off the chain, bro. I'm telling you. Oh shoot. A God eating another God. It'd be like a life of living to be eaten by the ants and the worms and everything that's going to eat your body when you die. And everything that eats your body now. And the mosquitoes, the ants, whatever else, the leeches, the ticks. You know, get what I'm saying? You're just a vessel of time and breathing. Whew. All right. That's enough of that. That's enough of the self-confidence creed. We're getting too deep. It's almost 30 minutes, and I wanted to still go over the memory and retention. So, while we look on and dream on, we're going to go over the self-confidence formula. So, the self-confidence formula is what we do mostly here at the Wild Thoughts. If you're a new listener, then that's good that you're here. But all this shit is probably going way over your head if you're just barely tuning in. So just go ahead and scroll all the way back onto the first episode and start from there. All right. Here we go with the self-confidence formula. I know that I have the ability to achieve the object of my definite purpose. That reminds me of the story I told you about all the fucking checks. Therefore, I demand of myself persistent, aggressive, and continuous actions towards its attainment. I realize that the dominating thoughts of my mind eventually reproduce themselves in outward bodily action and gradually transform themselves into physical reality. Therefore, I will concentrate my mind for 30 minutes daily upon the task of thinking of the person I intend to be, by creating a mental picture of this person and then transforming that picture into reality through practical service. I know that through the principle of autosuggestion, any desire that I persistently hold in my mind will eventually seek expression through some practical means of realizing it. Therefore, I shall devote 10 minutes daily to demanding of myself the development of the factors named in the 16 lessons of this reading course. I have clearly mapped out and written down a description of my definite purpose in life. For the coming 5 years, I have set a price on my services for each of these 5 years, a price that I intend to earn and receive through strict application of the principle of efficient, satisfactory service which I will render in advance. I fully realize that no wealth or position can long endure unless built upon truth and justice. Therefore, I will engage in no transaction which does not benefit all whom it affects. I will succeed by attracting to me the forces I wish to use and the cooperation of other people. I will induce others to serve me because I will first serve them. I will eliminate hatred, envy, jealousy, selfishness, and cynicism by developing love for all humanity, because I know that a negative attitude towards others can never bring me success. I will cause others to believe in me because I will believe in them and in myself. I will sign my name to this formula, commit it to memory, and repeat it aloud once a day with full faith that it will gradually influence my entire life, so that I will become a successful and happy worker in my chosen field of endeavor. As I sip on some more motherfucking water. What do you guys think of the self-confidence formula? I know we've been over it many times. many times, and every time I go over it, I just notice something new. And it puts a big fucking smile on my face, because I enjoy it. I enjoy it. It makes me feel good. I really like the way it makes me think about shit. Like through the principle of autosuggestion, any desire that I persistently hold in my mind. I mean, how long have we been preaching? How long have I been preaching the damn self-confidence formula? And it's taken me a while to get it myself. Why? Because it just hits you after a while. Hits you on when you read it for the 100th time. It hits you when you read the self-confidence book, the whole law of success in 16 lessons. When you read it 3-4 times. I'm on my 3rd time right now. And when you read that, it just makes sense to you. Finally. Oh, it's like a relief off my shoulders. I finally feel like in that other book I read, How to Enjoy Your Life and Your Job, just the relaxation of it all. How to put your shoulders down. Oh, yeah. Stretch them out. Relax all your body completely. Just stay fucking cool and calm. Like, you're all the time. Like, I'm as relaxed as a sock. Throw me. I'll be fine. Whatever. It's dope. So, that's pretty much what I think of the self-confidence formula. It's just great. The self-confidence formula, the self-confidence creed. If you're not using it for your own advantage yet, that's fine. You're probably new to the knowledge drip, and you probably haven't heard it. You maybe never read it. Maybe you have read it once. Maybe you read the book one time, put it down, forgot about it. Maybe you read it 1,000 times. And it's good to hear from another perspective. I don't know you. You don't know me. We're just two God forces, energies cruising through infinity on a rock that's getting ready to fucking go down. I hear people are talking about the temperature in Alaska is 90 degrees, the hottest it's ever been in 1 billion years. And how the water's coming up and all this stuff, all this great miraculous stuff, and we're afraid of it. We're afraid of what we're doing, but yet we still do it because of the fear of criticism. You wouldn't do it if you didn't have the fear of poverty. Would you do your job if you didn't have the fear of poverty? Would you do your job if you had the fear of growing old? Would you do your job if you had the fear of death? If you didn't have those fears, that's what I meant to say. Would you? What would you do if you didn't have the fear? What would your ultimate response be to that? What would your ultimate response be to not having fear? Because I know some people that say they don't have no fear. They work like 80 hours a week. And they complain about it. But they work 80 hours a week, but they can't damn near complain about it. I don't know. It could be anything, really. What you think, right? It's what you think. Now, let's go over real quick. I just want to go over before we fall asleep tonight. We're almost 30 minutes in. Congratulations. But before we fall asleep, I wanted to go over just some memory stuff at the very end, because I know you're going to go back and listen to this. So I wanted to have the retention and the memory, what type of different memory stuff there is, just so that you can, when you go back through this knowledge drip that we did today, that you can start to recall, you can retain retention, and then, you can recognize it. So let's go ahead and just get into this. Here is some of the beautiful things that we were talking about. We have seen what an important part of an environment and habit play in connection with the subject of concentration. Motherfucker. We shall now discuss briefly a third subject, which is no less related to the subject of concentration. Then are the other two, namely memory. The principles through which an accurate, unfaltering memory may be trained are few and comparatively simple. The first one of this concentration, or mind memory, is called retention. The receiving of a sense impression through one or more of the five senses, and the recording of this impression in orderly fashion in the mind. This process may be likened to the recording of picture on the sensitized plate of a camera or a Kodak. Now, did you hear that one part? This might be likened to the recording of a picture on a sensitized plate of a camera or a Kodak. You gotta remember, when this book was written, the cameras still were those old-fashioned ones that like click, because this was like 1937. They weren't the iPhones we had today. So, you could just, instead of saying, be likened recording to the picture or stencilized a camera or Kodak, you know what? Just keep it, because you still gotta hold the Kodak there to get the picture. If you don't hold it, you're not going to get the picture. So, fuck it. It's still relevant today. I try to prove it, but it's still relevant. Here we go. The second one, recall. The reviving or recalling into the conscious mind of those sense impressions which have been recorded in the subconscious mind. This process may be compared to the act of going through a card index and pulling out a card on which information had been previously recorded. The third mind memory is recognition, the ability to recognize a sense impression when it is called into the conscious mind, and to identify it as being a duplicate of the original impression, and to associate it with the original source from which it came when it was first recorded. This process enables us to distinguish between memory and imagination. So those are the three right there. I know that was probably just hard for you to do it as it was for me, because it was my third time going over this, but I don't read this as much as the self-confidence formula. I don't go over the retention, the recall, the recognition. So for that, I'm going to have to keep doing it. I mean, there's just so many things in this book, and I can't just focus. I mean, the self-confidence formula does cover every single thing, but it's also good to know in detail why it covers it. That way you understand for your own knowledge and your own previous little butthole faggot, and then you just move on with life. So guys, today on the knowledge drip, that is, it was successful as normal. Don't forget to believe in yourself, believe in what you can do, and most of all, take it easy. Until next time, this has been Wild Thoughts with your host, The Big Bang. Bye.